All right, welcome to our mini unit on area. Before I get started, there's been some storms in the area. There's been some power outages, and it's been flashing around here. So hopefully that won't happen and bother us while we're doing this. But let's get going. We're talking a lot about area of some of these shapes that you should already know about, like rectangles and squares. I expect that you already know what the area of a rectangle is: base times height, and then a square is also base times height, but because the sides are equal, it's just simply the side squared. Keep in mind that the perimeter is all the sides added together. So I'll do these examples here with you. If you got this square, the area of a square is 9 centimeters squared, find its perimeter. Well, side squared is 9 centimeters, so a side is going to be the square root of both sides. The side's going to be 3. So 3 4 times is 12 centimeters. Units of measure is going to be important with this stuff here. The perimeter of a rectangle is 20 centimeters. If its height is 4, find its area. Well, how does a perimeter work? Well, if one side is 4, then its opposite side is 4 of a rectangle. So what's missing is the base. Take away the 8, the 4 plus 4 is 8, from 20 we get 12, so what's left is the base has to be 6. So now find the area, multiply. This is pretty repetitious, most of this is pretty simple here. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and answer those questions. These are the answers. You better not just be copying these suckers, but the ones that involve variable expressions work the same way. You're multiplying to get the area. So yeah, there's that. I'm going to show the answers to this chart here in just a second, but before I do, pause it if you didn't. Here's the stuff about rectangles. The ones with numbers are more important to me than the ones with variables for what we're going to be doing in a short amount of time. But yeah, there's that. Now, these questions down here, if you can break these up into small rectangles, the sum of this eye-shaped thing will equal, well, the area of each of the rectangles. So you can split off these little rectangles or make this into 3 rectangles. That's what I did. So if I make this into a rectangle here, this side here, the area of this is going to be 8. This length is 4. This width is 2, so 2 times 4 is 8. Up here, 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 6, so 6 plus 8 plus 6 is 20. So break this up. There's where you want to break that there. You want to create a square and a rectangle there. Split this up into a couple different rectangles. Find the area of each rectangle, add them up together. There were some other ways to split these up. This is how I did number 23. You could have done it horizontally as well, but yeah, any way you do it, you just got to get the sum of the smaller parts, add them together. Now, you've had some experience with circles. You should know the circumference of a circle. Well, first of all, with circles, that there are 2 radii and a diameter. 2r equals d. So it ends up being 2 formulas for the circumference of a circle. 2 pi r. Pi is this this irrational number, which we will use 3.14 as our abbreviation for it, or our estimation for it. But 2 times pi times the length of the radius gets you the circumference, or because 2 times r is the radius, you can say it's pi d. So pi times the diameter. So both of these are formulas for the circumference. For the area of a circle, pi r squared. Those are the ones you should be familiar with. So there's 2 ways we can do the answer. Here's this example here. Find the area of a circle whose circumference is 100 pi. Well, I'm sorry, example 1. If the radius is 8 squared root of 3, how do you find the circumference? Well, it's going to be 2 times pi times 8 squared root of 3. You multiply the things that can be multiplied together. 2 times 8 is 16, so this becomes 16 times pi times the square root of 3. If you type in all of that into your calculator, 16 times 3.14 times square root of 3, you'll get approximately 87.1. I'll accept either of those answers as we do this. The area of a circle, it'd be pi times 8 squared root of 3 squared. When you square the stuff in parentheses, the 8 squared is 64, the square root of 3 squared is 3. So 64 times 3 is 192 pi. That's a very acceptable answer. Or you can get the decimal version, 603.2 units squared. Example 2, find the area of a circle whose circumference is 100 pi. So if the circumference is 100 pi, then that's 100 pi is 2 pi r. Well, you can get rid of the pi here. The pi's are basically cancel each other out. So 100 is equal to 2r. So what ends up being the circumference, or the radius, is 5 from that. So 100 equals 2 times the radius. So if that's the radius, then we're going to go pi times the radius squared. Pi times 50 squared is 2,500 pi units squared, or approximately 7,854 units squared. So given the radius, you should be able to find the circumference. Given the circumference, you should be able to find the radius and then the area. Given the area, this is the pi r squared, so that is the r squared. 16 is the r squared. That should tell you what r is. 121 is the r squared. 100 is the 2r, or the diameter. That should help you find the radius. See if you can fill in the chart. I'll accept your answer in pi form or radius form. I'm sorry, or decimal form. So I showed my work here for numbers 4 and 6. So if 12 pi equals 2 pi r, r equals 6. If 16 pi equals pi r squared, then 16 equals r squared. R is 4. The radius is 4. Okay, these are the answers here in terms of pi, and then here it is in decimal form. What I didn't do here, what you must do, is always use unit squared. In fact, if you're paying attention under this line here, right in here, always use unit squares with exclamation point for area. All right, moving on to parallelograms. Now, basically, I want you to write this above or out to the side here with the parallelograms. Right, for all quadrilaterals, area is the base times the height. Well, sometimes the bases will change, sometimes they won't. For a parallelogram, the base is the base. Okay, this base and this base are the same. Bases does not mean the bottom necessarily, but opposite bases are always the same. So it's base times height is the area for a parallelogram, just like it is for the rectangle. However, the height is going to be the altitude. Altitude and height are the same things for well, for all of these things, whether it's triangles, trapezoids, etc. So, find that out. Sometimes we'll end up with some right triangles. Do you see the right triangle? Special right triangles, Pythagorean theorem will be our friend to solve these. So, when we're talking about if we could use this other side as the base, same parallelogram. If this is the base, then the height would be this length right here. So it would be base times height. Those values would end up being the same. Okay, if I flip it around, that looks more normal. It's the same shape. I've just rotated it. So you can do that with your page. I can't do that with the screen to rotate it, but I can copy and paste. These are the same diagrams. So example 3, find the area of a parallelogram with base, 5 square root of 3, and corresponding height, 4 square root of 3. Dang, it gave you what you needed. So it's 5 square root of 3, the height's 4 square root of 3. Multiply those suckers. That's the height, or the area rather. Over here we got a little bit of work to do. Find the area of the following parallelogram. Well, it gave us this base over here. We got to find the height. Oh, but luckily this is a 30-degree angle. This is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. 8 is the what? The hypotenuse of that 30, 60, 90 triangle. H is the short leg. So we can find the height from there is 4. So 12 times 4 equals 48 units squared for the area. Go ahead and see if you can calculate 1 through 6. See if you can figure out those areas. Sometimes it gives you exactly what you need. Sometimes you got to do a little figuring, like on 5 and 6. All right, there's the answers. For 5 and 6, those were the heights that you should have gotten. Okay. Okay, I expect that you remember some things from your previous mathematical lives about triangles, that the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. Remember, base times height is the area of a rectangle or a parallelogram, so every triangle is half of some parallelogram. Okay? So in this example over here, what type of triangle is it? It's an isosceles triangle. when you have an isosceles triangle, what is the altitude, which in this case is the height? Well, it splits it into two congruent right triangles, which is really helpful for us here. That always happens with the isosceles triangle. So that 8 gets chopped in half. It's 4 and 4. We've got to use the Pythagorean theorem. Sometimes we can use special stuff, but 4 squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. We get that the height is 2 squared root of 21. Because you're going to be multiplying and because I'm accepting decimal answers, you don't have to use the 2 squared root of 21. You can use the decimal form of that. So I'll accept the 36.7 units squared. Or 8 square root of 21 is what you get when you multiply 1/2 times the base times the height, which is 2 square root of 21. That's kind of one of the ugly ones. This one, number 7, is set up beautifully for you. So is 8. So is 9. That sucker's a right triangle. The legs are the base and the height of a right triangle. This one over here, got 2 triangles. Got a right triangle here, you got a right triangle here. Do them separately, add them together. Down here, isosceles triangles like the example I just did, and you should know how to find the height of an equilateral triangle. 30, 60, 90 triangles, that's the key. Give these suckers a shot. Okay, these are the answers. Again, the key, you can use the median, or you can use the average of the bases, but if you do the height times the median, 8 times 17.5 is 140, 4 times 11.5 is 46, 12 times 28 is 336. The median is the average of these two numbers, so you kind of had to work backwards for some of them. That's how that works. To find the area of an isosceles triangle, the formula is no different, but if it gives you these legs here, we're going to have to chop off what I call the wings of the isosceles trapezoid. That makes a rectangle there in the middle, and then these 2 right triangles. So we have a rectangle. So if that's 18, this is 18. We got to figure out what the height is from this. Well, this whole side's 30, so we can figure out what each part of these wings are. 30 minus 18 is 12. That leaves 6 for those wings. Those parts are congruent because it's an isosceles one. So this process right here is one that you have to know of how to make the rectangles, get those other sides. Then from there we find the height. 6, 8, 10 is the height. So now you have both bases, 30 and 18, you have the height. You can find the average or the area from there. Okay? So that's the trick. Make sure you split those suckers up like so. For 12, 13, go ahead and do 12, 13, and 15 of these, please. Oh, sorry, I didn't know that was on. Sorry. Those are the answers. Okay, so rhombuses are parallelograms, so they use the same formula, but they also have their own special formula related to the diagonals. So if you know information about the diagonals of a rhombus, this is the easier formula. If you know the base and the height, use this one. So here's how this works. I find the area of each rhombus. Well, if we know that this is 4 and we know that this is 5, this is x right here, we can find this part of this diagonal. That's a 3, 4, 5 triangle right there. So x is 3. So here's how that works. The diagonals are 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. And 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. So we can go 1/2 of 8 times 6 is 24 units squared. When it uses the diagonals, use that. On question B, just use it like a parallelogram. We don't have diagonals, so use base times height to find the area. Okay? All right. Those are all of the formulas. Go ahead and see if you can do the odd ones here of 15, 17, 19, 21, and then you're done. And that concludes our area lesson once you do those. There are your answers. Get some rest. Got a big finish coming up. Bye.